Well, hey guys, it's Darwin, and today I'm talking about gear that I'm basically over in 2025. So this video has become a long time tradition here on my channel, going all the way back to 2017, where I basically do an annual gear purge. I look at all of the long time used gear that I've had for years and try to swap it out with something new, mainly to be lighter, more comfortable, more efficient, or in this year's case, more durable when I'm out on the trail. I didn't actually do one of these last year because I was trying a bunch of different stuff and trying to get a new type of kit dialed down for the new types of adventures that I've been doing in the backcountry. But because I've gotten it pretty close to where I think I want it, I know what I need this year, it's time to throw some of this stuff to the curb.
Garbage day!
Now, before I get into the video, I always feel like I gotta say this. No, folks, I do not literally throw my gear in the trash can. I usually hold on to most of this stuff just in case I want to use it on a different type of trip, or I will donate some of this gear to some friends in need. The trash can is just for effect. And remember, all gear is subjective. Just because I am not using this stuff anymore and I'm over it doesn't make it bad gear. It doesn't mean that I regret ever buying it. Hell, some of this gear has thousands of miles on it. It just means that I've found something more efficient for what I'm currently doing. All right, the first piece of gear that I'm kicking to the curb this year is one that's probably gonna surprise most people, and it's because it's a piece of gear that I've been using going all the way back to 2016. I've been a huge advocate for it, and I have thousands of miles on it, and that is the BRS 3000 stove. Yes, the BRS stove, the stove that I've lived for, that I've fought for, being such a great stove over all these years, but why am I now getting rid of it? Well, to be honest, it's a great stove because it's light and it works. You know, it makes fire, you can set a pot on it, but the BRS is not the most efficient stove. When you're using this and you're really trying to conserve gas, it doesn't do the best. And because I'm doing a lot of trips this year where I have to really keep that in mind, for instance, I'm gonna be doing a through hike up in Alaska. I'm gonna be in the Alaskan wilderness for 3 to 4 weeks. So conserving gas and thinking about how I'm using fuel is super important to me, and this is not exactly the best stove for that. And I'm also doing a lot of stuff up at higher elevations and in lower temps, and this definitely isn't good for that. So recently, I've started using 2 different stoves in my kits. The first one is one that I've talked about a lot lately that I've been using on my winter trips, and that is this little Fire Maple Blade 2. It's been great for me in cold temps at high elevations, and it's a small little remote stove so I can turn my gas can upside down to make it overall more efficient on gas. And then for my regular backpacking trips, especially Alaska, I have started using the Soto Windmaster. I picked this up a couple years ago, and it's just super efficient when it comes to fuel consumption. It's also great in the wind, and really, it's not that heavy and it's not that cumbersome. Obviously, it's bigger and it's a little heavier than the BRS, obviously, but the trade-off to have something that's more efficient because of how it performs in the wind, the fact that it has a regulator on it, and it just being better with fuel consumption makes that trade-off worth it. So because of that, because this thing just has become a piece of gear that is not that efficient in my current day kits, I am finally throwing this thing to the curb. See you, buddy. Hey, I wanted to cut in here real quick and let you know about today's video sponsor, Onyx Backcountry. Not only has Onyx Backcountry become a huge supporter of me, my channel, and all of my adventures last year and everything that I have planned for 2025, but it's also a super powerful navigation tool that I use when I'm out on the trail. What I love about Onyx is they have this great desktop version that you can get on there, you can plan out your entire trip, map everything from the desktop, get all of your logistics, and then save it as an offline map, put it on your phone, and be able to use some super powerful features out on the trail. Features like the active wildfire layer, the current weather layer, and something I've been using a lot, especially this winter when I'm in some snowy mountains, which is the slope angle layer, making sure that I stay safe when I'm at higher elevations. So if you want to get some of these super powerful features and you just want to step up your own backcountry navigation game and help support my channel, check out the link down in my description box to get a free trial of Onyx Backcountry. Then use that same link to get 20% off of a full subscription. I cannot thank Onyx enough for supporting me, my channel, and all of my adventures in 2025. let's get back to the video. All right, the next piece of gear, I guess, is something that, again, I've been a big advocate for years, and I've used probably more than most pieces of gear in my kit, and that's something that's not really a piece of gear, which is a smart water bottle. Years ago, I swore off Nalgene's and bulkier reusable bottles because they were just heavy and clumsy, and started using these disposable water bottles, whether it's the 1 liter smart water or in this case life water, or what I prefer, the Essentia 1 liter bottle, because it's a little bit bigger. This is the 1.5 liter, so carry more water. But with that being said, again, I'm looking for more durability. I'm looking to be able to melt snow and put hot water in a bottle. I'm looking for something that won't freeze as fast at colder temps and higher elevation, and I'm looking for something that maybe doesn't leach as much chemicals as what one of these bottles can do. So over the last really 8 months, I've actually been going back to using the old traditional Nalgene. To be honest, not only is it better for hot water, it's more durable, it doesn't freeze as fast, there's also something kind of, I don't know, nostalgic and iconic about using a Nalgene. Putting stickers on it, watching them fade and get all gross. Something that I've missed about that over the past 10 years. Now, the Nalgene is bulky, it is a little bit heavier, but I have been looking at some alternatives to this that kind of, I don't know, it's like a hybrid between these two. It's lighter, it's less bulky, but it is made of thicker plastic. It will handle hot water. And there's a couple companies out there that have been looking to make something like that. I know that the company that I've loved for years, Canuck, that makes a lot of my water bottles, like this guy, is actually working on a hard casing bottle that is basically like this. It's not as flimsy as this and can handle hot water. So it's kind of a hybrid between this, and this. So I'm really looking forward to them finally putting that out. So, because I just, I want to just get away from using disposable plastic water bottles on the trail, because I need them to be more efficient as far as not freezing as fast and holding hot water. The old smart water bottle, or I guess in this case life water bottle, is getting thrown to the curb. All right, the next piece of gear is one that honestly I can't even believe I didn't see this coming, and that's a piece of gear that I picked up about 1.5 years ago. I thought that I would use it a ton on the trail. I love the idea of it, but the truth is I just didn't, and that is one of these battery-powered pad pumps, the FlexTail Zero to be specific. All right, so before anybody says anything, I totally understand the irony that I just recently named the little FlexTail pump one of my favorite pieces of gear of 2024, and it still is. I think it's one of the coolest pieces of backpacking gear that I've used in the last couple of years. However, it doesn't mean that it works for everything, especially for me on certain trips, and well, here, I'll explain. Now, I love the idea of this. It's super small, it's light, and it blows up your pad decently fast, so you're not using your breath, you're not putting moisture into your pad. That being said, with what I'm doing this year, especially Alaska, I don't want to have another piece of gear that I have to worry about charging so many days, because I can only carry so many battery packs to be able to recharge. Now, if I was doing something like a thru hike or just going out on a weekend backpacking trip, I still think this is a great piece of gear if you can have the opportunity to charge it. But because I need to conserve on batteries, because I just don't want something else that is, something I have to think about charging, and because I just haven't been using it, I've actually decided to start using the good old classic inflation bags that usually come with pads. So it's got the little connector right there. You hook it up to your sleeping pad, and then you just use air to push it through and blow it up. I've been doing the same thing with my pack rafts, and that's where it got me thinking like, well, I'm already carrying a bag like that to blow up my pack rafts. I might as well use the same thing on my sleeping pads. So I'm gonna try this out for a while. So because again, I just don't wanna worry with having to charge it. I just haven't been using it. The old FlexTail Zero pump is going to the trash can of exaggeration this year. All right, the next piece of gear is another one that I picked up like 2 years ago and actually had in this list. It's what I replaced something else with, and that is I want to preface that, an all alpha fleece hoodie. Now, I really do love this Alpha fleece. I think it's phenomenal. It's an active fleece. It breathes really well. But what I've learned over the last year and a half of using this is they don't last that long if you're hiking in super bushwhacky, thorny, overgrown trails, which I do a lot of, especially living here in Arizona, doing a lot of hiking in the Grand Canyon. And I've actually went through 2 of these in the last year and a half. I have shred a bunch of different holes in these just by wearing it and not doing really anything crazy. Yeah, you can see there's a big hole there. There's a big hole there. I have a ton of different runs in it. There's some holes on the bottom. I just can't get one of these to last. And where I think they're phenomenal, I love how much it breathes, how it still keeps you warm and breathes. I just don't trust it taking it to a place like Alaska where I'm gonna have to do a lot of bushwhacking. So I said an all Alpha fleece. And what I mean by that is I also really love grid fleeces, right? I love the traditional grid fleeces. They're obviously more durable. They're gonna last longer because they're not as exposed and open as Alpha, but these don't breathe as well. They can be a little bit heavier. So I've been looking for something in between. In the last 2 years, I have been wearing this hoodie a lot, or this fleece a lot, which is a combination of both fabrics. So it has, in those areas that are gonna be exposed to brush and stuff like that, it has a grid fleece with a better outside backing, but in the areas where you need it, like your chest, your shoulders, armpits, it has the Alpha. I think this is a perfect middle road. Unfortunately, they stopped making this, and I haven't really been able to find something that's very similar to it. So I've been on a search to find a way to use Alpha, but also use grid fleece and use them in conjunction with each other to get the best of both worlds. And I haven't really been able to find anything. If you know of one, leave it down below, but I've thought about possibly making my own. I'm lucky enough to have a sewing shop in the other room, so I've thought about experimenting and making my own fleece by combining more of that traditional grid and that Alpha grid. So because I just can't trust the lower durability of an all Alpha fleece, I'm done with them for this year and I'm throwing it to the curb. Okay, the next type of gear that I am gonna kind of swear off this year, and this one is probably gonna surprise a lot of people, but it comes with a little bit of a disclaimer, is a frameless ultralight backpack. What? The guy who loves 35 to 40 liter frameless ultralight backpacks is swearing off frameless backpacks? Well, here's where the disclaimer comes in. For, I would say, about 90% of the trips that I'm doing this year, I need more space. I need a higher carry capacity because I'm carrying things like pack rafts and tons of food, like really long food resupplies. I'm carrying more water, heavier camera equipment to shoot the films that I shoot. So having a frameless backpack that doesn't really carry weight as well, it's just not really in the cards for this year. Now, that being said, there are some smaller hikes, some ultralight, more minimal hikes that I do have planned for this year where a frameless pack will work great, that I will still use the packs that I always use, but I am gonna be going back to an all-framed, larger liter, fully hip belt pack because I just need a pack to carry more weight and just be more comfortable for a longer time. So I have started using more framed backpacks, something that has more of a fully padded hip belt on it. The last time that I really used a fully framed backpack was on the PCT in 2018, and I hiked most of that trail up to the last 500 miles with a framed pack. Now, everything before that, I've always used a framed pack and really got into the ultralight frameless packs from there until now when I really need it again. So yeah, I am, for about 90% of the things that I'm doing this year, I'm gonna be going back to a traditional framed, fully padded hip belt, larger liter pack. This pack is a 50 liter, it has a removable frame, a fully padded hip belt, and it just makes more sense for the types of stuff that I'm doing. Again, about 90% of the stuff I'm doing, the big trips that I'm doing, a framed pack just allows me to be able to carry more water, carry more food, carry more gear, and carry more camera equipment so I can shoot better videos. So because of that, for the most part, I am pretty much done being the ultralight frameless pack bro and taking the old frameless pack and and sort of throwing them to the curb. All right, I have one last piece of gear that's kind of an honorable mention that I am retiring this year, and that is this guy. A piece of gear that I have had for a long time, the traditional old school Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. This is the old original one that's super crunchy, has that old crappy twist valve on it. You know, I picked this up right in the beginning of the PCT on the trail, and I've been using it ever since. If I cut this open, I guarantee it's got a lot of mold inside of it. This valve does not hold air very well, but I still think it's a great pad. With that being said, I've decided to replace it. So what have I replaced it with? Well, not that big of a surprise. I just replaced it with a newer version of the pad. I still love the Thermarest Neo Air, and this is the new NXT version that is much quieter. Apparently it has a little bit higher of an R value, and it has this new wing valve that just holds air much better. Now, where I used to go with the large, so long and wide, I now go with the regular wide. So I still get the width, but not as long because I do usually sleep kind of like in a fetal position at night. So I don't really need the length. So not a big change here, but I am retiring the old trusty, the old, my comrade on the trail, the old Neo Air X-Lite. So thank you for your service, sweet prince, and good night. All right, guys, there you go. There's my annual gear purge, the stuff that I'm throwing to the curb and getting rid of. That being said, again, I don't usually get rid of most of this stuff. I like to hold on to it just in case I want to use it on another trip. That's kind of what happens as you kind of continue on your journey of backpacking, is you start branching into new things and trying new things like pack rafting, like mountaineering, like these big long odysseys going through the Alaskan wilderness. And you kind of have to build different kits for different types of environments and different types of situations. So swapping out some gear, trading it for other things is all part of the process. And remember that it's all subjective. Just because I'm done using some of this gear that I've always loved, again, I have thousands of miles on some of this stuff, doesn't make it bad gear. It just means for right now, what I'm doing, some of this other stuff is just going to be more efficient, make me more comfortable, be more durable, and just be better out on my trips. So that being said, what is some gear that you've decided to throw to the curb this year? And what are you replacing it with? What's the better piece of gear for you going forward, or just with the trips that you had this year? Leave me something down below and let me know your thoughts. Guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope you're taking care of each other. I love you, and as always, thanks for watching.